Tonight on Fast Break, the NBA is back, and Dentarius and Davidson will going to dive all into it. So join us live tonight here on iSports Radio. A lot of stuff to talk about tonight. A lot of things going on in the NBA, WNBA. We'll all get into that tonight. But first, D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
What's up, man? I'm doing very well, especially with the season back. I've been watching games since the Clippers and the Lakers played each other Thursday. I've been all in, watching every game I can, man. What about you? How you liking everything?
Everything's going well. I like the environment. I like that the NBA's back. I like we got, another sports league back in the fold. So, hockey's getting started at playoffs. The NBA's finished up this season. Baseball. It's going, but we'll see how things shake up for that. But a lot of topics to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. We'll discuss the games that happened over the weekend. Also, are the Pelicans, are they serious about making the playoffs by limiting Zion's playing time? We'll dive into that. And also other news as well. So D-Lock, who's your winners and losers in these first slate of games over the weekend?
Well, I think I want to start out with the winners. I know it hasn't been that many games just yet. I think one of the winners for me has to be the Orlando Magic. They haven't looked too bad. Now, obviously, they played against the Wizards?
Yeah.
Actually, the Brooklyn Nets. And they're playing against the Kings now. So I can't say that they're just like looking a lot better. It's just the fact that you can see that they've been working on chemistry and putting things together. Actually, blowing out the Kings at this moment. So they are one of the teams that I say is a huge winner. Another team is the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll see them tonight against Houston. That's going to be an interesting game. It's going to actually start halfway through our show. I think they're going to be a team to watch out for. I think I talked about them last week as far as a sleeper team, about how deep they are, their roster is. So we're definitely going to see more into that. Now, losers. Probably it's going to be a lot more losers than winners because we've seen two losers play against each other today. To me, I asked you before, about that. You said you were busy at work, but this game of the Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards, I don't know what Brooklyn is doing. I don't know what Washington is doing. In the bubble too. So to me, these two teams just look like they're just here. They don't really look like they're And I mean, Karis LeVert finally had a decent game today. Uchimara, who was very hyped about how he was looking through scrimmages. I haven't really seen too much from him these past couple games.
No.
For the Wizards, probably the better player that's been on their team right now is probably Thomas Bryant, and Ish Smith is playing pretty consistent. Brooklyn, I was very high on the fact that I thought Karis LeVert and Jared Allen would play very well. They're not playing bad, but with the shuffling that they're doing, Tyler Johnson, hell, he started today and he didn't start a couple games ago. So they're just, shuffling people around. Joe Harris is starting to try to kick in, I guess, and take advantage of the playing time and a few players not being there. So those are, two teams that are losers for me. Another team that is a loser that I can't say is a shocker, but kind of is the Pelicans. They don't look – I don't know what Alvin Gentry is doing with that roster and their rotation. Like, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, we'll touch on Zion, a little bit later in the show, but it's just like this team just looks confused. It seemed like when the NBA season stopped, so did they. Like, it seemed like they're just now seeing each other. Like, I haven't seen really too much from them. Lonzo looked like he's just on vacation right now. I know they had a couple tough matchups starting out against the Jazz, and then the Clippers. After Clippers coming off that heartbreaking loss against the Lakers, they came full throttle. You see Paul George, them that made 10 threes against them. So, but Pelicans just, I don't know what they're doing, man. Their rotation is just, it's all over the place. So those are my big time losers right now.
Well, let's see. I'll shout out everybody in the chat. Larry, Taryn in the chat, showing that Laker pride. So I see you, fellas. I see you. For me, let me go to the winners. The Utah Jazz. When the COVID stuff went down, D-Lock, they trying, the media trying to make it out like Ruby and Donovan, they hate each other. They're gonna fight and all that stuff. But to come back when things officially kick off, and the last second, the last few seconds of the alley-oop to Gobert from Mitchell, and Gobert still in the win to win the game against the Pelicans. That kind of brushed away a lot of things right there. And, they have come out since, they say they cool on that stuff. So that's a big one for me. The Jazz, kind of coming out and winning a key game, against the Pelicans. Then the Milwaukee Bucks, they come out, play very well. And, I think they're going to be like the team to beat. You throw in the Clippers, the Lakers, and after, watching the Clippers and watching the Lakers, it's like when they're on, but, it seems like they need some work. But with the Bucks, from, like you mentioned, top roster, top to bottom, they just got the right pieces in the right places, if that makes sense. And then, the other winner, I guess, TJ Warren for the Indiana Pacers, dropping 53 points yesterday. So,
oh, yeah.
If y'all play FanDuel out there, TJ Warren, he ain't like too bad of a price to pick up. Like, he's a good option to always pick up at like 6,200, 6,000 if you play FanDuel. And him getting 53 points for you that night, that's excellent right there. And for him, to pick up that scoring with Sabonis gone and Oladipo trying to come back to health, that's a big winner right there for me. And if I got to throw one more winner, OKC, still winning. They beat down the Jazz on Saturday. And did they play? No, they played Thursday. So then coming out, beating the Jazz. And then, them, still being the surprise team in the West. In the whole week. That's big wins for me over the weekend. My losers, the Kings, Wizards, and, well, we'll touch on the Pelicans in there in a little bit. But the Kings, Wizards, Nets is just like, we talked about this leading up to the restart. Why some of these teams are here? I'm just like,
I don't know.
I'm just like, I couldn't. I mean, I'm glad basketball's back, but I couldn't muster to watch, the Wizards and Kings play. I'm like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Dude, if you would have seen, listen, I'm telling you, like, you were at work, so that it probably was better that you were at work, because if you would have seen this Brooklyn and this Wizards game, I love the fact that it's back, but it's just, these teams, like you said, you kind of looking at what are they doing? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you just back because you got invited? And you're like, I remember what I said last week about the fact that some teams are in Orlando. They're going to enjoy the fact that they're close where, Disney World and all this stuff. It literally seems like some of these teams are having too much fun outside of basketball.
I mean, I guess it's just like, come on, fellas. It's like, damn. I don't know. You know what? I thought about this before we got into the show. I think the NBA was kind of banking on, having the Nets and stuff there, just in case, if Kyrie and Kevin Durant decided to come back, but they didn't. So it's like, well, damn, we're kind of hoping they will come back to have that added star power, but I guess they didn't. And if I had a couple more losers, I gotta add the Memphis Grizzlies.
I meant to mention them too. I ain't gonna lie. I thought about it. I understand that one.
Not losers in the sense that they play poorly or anything like that. I mean, they ain't gone against tough teams, but you had a long layoff, cool, but you kind of had a bullseye on your back coming into this thing with the Trailblazers on your back, the Pelicans, and the Spurs. I'm not counting the Suns and Kings. I forget about them. I ain't worried about them. I ain't. But those other teams, yeah. And you lose overtime to the Grizzlies. I mean, not Grizzlies, to the Trailblazers, which, Melo, CJ, and Dame score for like 83, 85 points combined. And then you get to today, they lose to the Spurs. So that's 2 losses right there you really couldn't afford right there, D-Lock. And, how they going to bounce back for this? I know they're a young team. John Morant had 25, 9 and 9, almost a triple-double. Jaren Jackson had 21 points and 3 rebounds. That's got to be better. That's pathetic. You 6'11". But those other guys, they got to show up.
Yeah.
For the Grizzlies. So, the Grayson Allen, don't follow the Grayson Allen habits and be key contributor off the bench. That'd be great for them. But the Grizzlies, D-Lock, they can't lose no more games.
Yeah, you're right.
And they got a key game against the Pelicans tomorrow. And they got to come out like game busters and kind of, keep their, playoff hopes alive for that playing game, potentially. And then another one more loser. I guess the Denver Nuggets not playing Bo more.
Yeah, I wanted your opinion on that because with him having that scrimmage that they said he had, what happened to that? Like these past couple games, or like when he played, like I don't know what they. I mean, Jokic had a hell of a game, so maybe that's why. But I don't know. He definitely didn't get no minutes at all. I was a little bit, a little curious on that.
I mean, he got 12 minutes against the Heat, and then scored 5 points, 4 rebounds in that time. So it's like, I mean, looking at this box score, against the game against Miami, Paul Millsap had 28 minutes and had 8 points and 6 rebounds, 3 for 9 for shooting, and 4 fouls. I won't say Paul Millsap is cooked, but it's slowly getting there. Jokic, he ain't had his typical game. He had 19, 7, and 6, but it wasn't game busters. I know Jamal Murray's out at the moment, but I don't know. I think, in this time, in this bubble, and everybody's, health and conditioning, you got to experiment and see where some of these guys are at, or who can rise to the top and do wonders for your team. And then, Larry said in the chat, like, I'm saying, why some of these teams here? Yeah, we've been talking about this for weeks. They like hockey, soccer playoffs. There's no need for those other teams to be here.
No, they're not. And the thing is, they I'm telling you, some of them went into it as if, okay, you know what? This is a scenario where, yes, we're getting invited, but we're going to Orlando. Like, this is where we're going to be at. So, and we're going to get paid. So a lot of these teams, like I said, Brooklyn, these teams are taking the risk. Come on now. Like I said, I guess they're in the playoffs. They have the opportunity. You're going to fight for your spot. You're in there, but it's like, if you're going to come in and compete, by all means do that, but be full throttle. Meaning go all in. Don't be part-time. Like, when they knew Kyrie wasn't playing, I mean, it was a few pieces out there, but you got to kind of make some kind of moves to where Jamal Crawford will be ready to play game 1. Like, you signed him, but he's missing some key games.
Mm-hmm.
So some of these teams went in here with we're just kind of going through the motion kind of mindset, and it's showing.
And, with some of these teams, and then, you mentioned the matchup and, and lineups and stuff like that. Philly, they didn't start Al Horford the other day. They put in Shake Milton in that starting spot, and, he didn't really perform well for them. Like 5 fouls and 0 points and stuff like that. And then Horford, had a kind of Horford game, that, off the bench. So I was like, I mean, I know you're trying to space the floor and stuff like that, but, and granted, yes, Embiid had a very dominant game, 41-21. But, I was like, y'all gotta find the right thing to work out in this bubble, because once the playoffs get running, like Terry mentioned in the chat, you could be up creek without a paddle, depending on the matchup.
Yeah.
And then, we're going to see later on tonight with the Bucks and Rockets. yes, that team is small, and yes, the not Grizzlies, the Bucks are long, tall, and athletic, but you know, Brook Lopez don't play a lot of defense, and I know PJ Tucker can punk him out down low. You know,
Yep.
the other Lopez, that'd be a different story. He probably trying to fight you back, but the Houston and Milwaukee game, that'd be interesting to see because you talked about this a couple weeks ago. Eric Bledsoe, what's he going to bring to the table in this bubble situation?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to go against Westbrook and Harden and guard them majority of the night. How's that going to look for him?
Yeah. I mean, right now, like I said, I always said I thought that the Bucks were one of the teams that were ready to make that big move, and I still believe that. I just think that now these other guys that they have will have to step up. Bledsoe is not going to play right now, but George Hill is still there. Kyle Korver, like I said, one of the vets is going to have to step up. You're not going to see Giannis' brother come out there right now for a while at least. Wesley Matthews is going to have to step up. So these are players that have to make a huge move to show the impact that they can make. Now, like I said, like you said, like they're playing against Houston. Now, I ain't gonna lie, like obviously I do play FanDuel, but when I did see after the overtime game between the Rockets and the Mavericks, and I seen James Harden at 88 and Russell had 58, I'm like, okay, this team isn't really bad. But the thing is, Dallas is not. They do have Boban. They could have used Boban out there against the Rockets. It's just that matchup didn't favor him, especially with them having Porzingis and Luka, who I think is a stud. But tonight, we're going to see what they're going to do because, in a sense, like you said, Brook Lopez, dude, every time I see the Milwaukee play, I don't ever see Brook Lopez in the middle grabbing boards. I always see him standing at the free throw line. The 3-point line. So that favors the fact that Russ and James Harden and Giannis are going to be fighting for boards all game long. PJ Tucker should be able to get a few things that he wants, but it's not a bad matchup. But I ain't gonna lie, I do think that since Houston did have that long game. Remember, I was talking to you about the trend that I was seeing, that a team would play good and then next game they would kind of struggle or kind of the condition would hurt them. I'm kind of thinking that maybe Houston do feel that conditioning a little bit with just coming from an overtime game a couple games ago with Dallas. Giannis is going to be ready. They're going to rotate him, with a couple guys. George here, I think Ersan's probably going to get in a little bit because it more so fits his game as well. But I kind of see this as a blowout, to be honest. Like, Milwaukee has a great defense. So I don't see Russ and James Harden just running up and down the court doing whatever they want, especially with Giannis in the middle. So we've seen, this team be one of the top tier teams. And on top of that, who's going to stop Giannis? Like, I don't see anybody stop him. As a matter of fact, I do see maybe one or two of these players possibly getting into foul trouble, trying to cover him or guard him, because he's going to get to the line.
Well, you bring up tonight's matchup. Houston went 8 deep against Dallas yesterday. Will they go deeper than that and play guys like Damari Carroll and Luba Mute? Possibly, trying to get the use 12 fouls right there. But for Houston to win this game tonight. Westbrook can't go for 13 to 30 again from the field. That's
Right.
that's egregious right there. It's like, ugh.
That's real ugly.
I mean, you got 31 points, but it's like,
How did you get them?
yeah, it took a lot of shots to get there. I hate playing. I don't mind getting rushed on FanDuel sometimes. It's like, it's got to be like perfect, for me to get him. Like, yeah, you get nice stat line, but it's just like,
how did you get it?
Yeah, it
like,
don't.
How did Yeah.
They don't fluctuate good like some other players. And I want to shout out to the chat, Marcus. Los Great, how you doing tonight, sir? And you're a Celtics fan. Ooh, you're a Celtics fan. Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I'm a Magic fan, so I ain't too much a fan of the Celtics. But what are they doing with Kemba? That's the bigger question. What are they doing with Kemba? We need answers with that.
That's a good question. I don't know. It's like, I don't know, man. 19 minutes, 16 points. I really can't say. When they play Milwaukee, I was like, they gave Brad Wanamaker 26 minutes, and Marcus Smart, I think he got about his average of minutes, but I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, I don't know. I really don't. I really can't explain D-Lock.
I'm telling you, it's tough how they don't have. Okay, this is how I see their pecking order. I see Jason Tatum is the number one guy.
Yep.
That's just what I mean, it's clear what happened a couple games ago when he only had 4 scoring points. So to me, I think that he is the guy for them. And then the pecking order outside of that probably is between Gordon Hayward and Kemba Walker. It's weird because fact is, like, they have a lot of pieces, but it's just like you don't know who's going where, who's going to get this, who's going to get that. Like, it's kind of just up and down. So for me, I probably the Celtics, boy. And now, did you see Enes Kanter get in today?
Yeah, he got 11 points and he played 20 minutes today. But, you mentioned about Kemba and consistency, and, Marcus is bringing that up in the chat, they need Kemba to make the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, yeah, if Jason Tatum evolves and becomes to that dude, then, you can put Kemba and Jaylen Brown as your second fiddles, but if you need somebody to carry the load right now until Tatum becomes that dude, then Kemba will be an excellent person of choice. But I don't know, man. It's just like Brad Wanamaker tonight got 10 minutes compared to the 22 he got the previous game. Kemba got just 22 minutes tonight. Shot very well, but, just had 22 minutes. So
yeah.
I don't know. I really can't say. Compared to Dame, who had 30 points and 16, Nurkic, who had 30 for the Trailblazers. You need that guard play to be consistent. And Terry brought this up in the chat. The Celtics are good, but not good enough to get past Toronto. The way Toronto, plays defense, and Kemba's, I don't think I'd say playing great, but if you can get past It's been hard to get past Toronto because of how good they play their defense. If he's struggling, then you can cancel that.
Yeah. I mean, the East, people thought that the East was just kind of washed, but there's some pretty solid teams in the East.
Oh, yeah.
And the Celtics are just, I don't know. Like, you got to figure out what's going on with Kemba. Gordon Hayward seems like he's getting back to himself. Brad Wanamaker gets in and gets a lot of minutes that Kemba is not getting. Daniel Theus plays good one day, then he doesn't play good the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can see the inconsistency with this team. Now, they can make a push, later. This is the team that, remember, with Kyrie, they were bad, and without Kyrie, they were actually pretty good. So now that Kyrie's gone, we're seeing a team that is good and bad at the same time. And we know that in a game, in a 7-game series, you can't be good and bad. Because if you run into Toronto, as you said, as we seen the Lakers do yesterday, even though the Lakers just beat the Clippers, the Raptors didn't take any time off in that game.
No.
So they're coming to come back to repeat. Even though No Kawhi's not there, me personally, I don't think that they're going to be as good as they were last year. I mean, I know in the playoffs, but you have them. The 76ers are not really bad to me. I don't know that. We'll touch on that at some point too. But obviously, the big dog is Milwaukee. And if you do have an on and off game with Milwaukee, they will blow you out 4 games straight.
And, to bring up the Toronto Raptors real quick, watching last night's game, it's like, Toronto they'll get big on the Lakers. They got like double-digit lead, and then the Lakers come back, but, credit to the Raptors. And we've seen this, last season, especially in that playoff run, guys hitting key shots when needed to. Like Fred VanVleet, he did a couple big shots yesterday. OG Anunoby, he hit like 3 corner shots in a row in that second half against the Lakers, and he ain't the world's best shooter either. So if you get production like that from your role players, Kyle Lowry, had a pretty decent game, 33 points, 14 rebounds. For a 6-foot guard, mind you. But, Siakam, played pretty well. But like I said, those other guys did awesome. And then, you flip to the Lakers side. Anthony Davis and LeBron didn't really get scoring to like the second half.
No, you're right. It didn't. The thing that kicks with me when it comes to, like I said, with these games, we talked about off the air. I kind of touched on a little later, is the fact that the condition is playing a part with, I think, a couple of these teams. And I don't think that the Lakers are like in a bad scenario. They know they're about 5 games now in the Clippers.
Yeah.
So, they're 5 games. So now they are trying to make a statement, come back with the Raptors, but the biggest game was won, that Thursday. And another thing that is hurting with the fact that they are missing a couple key pieces. You mentioned Danny Green, and dude, Danny Green is kind of going through the motion right now. He's kind of playing like Kawhi. Like he just, I'm here from time to time. I'll play this game, I'll play that game. But playoff time is when we're going to really see Danny Green. So, I think that a lot of teams are dealing with, okay, well, hey, this condition, we just played, a tough game. And also, some teams that lose their next game, they're going to be more inspired than, they were prior to, but they just lost. So, like the Clippers. The Clippers lost a heartbreaker. What did Paul George and Kawhi do? They jumped out and went crazy the first 2 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, they inspired Reggie Jackson. And Reggie Jackson went out there and went crazy. So I think that's one thing that plays a part with it. But, around this time, these games are going to be very important. And this is where we're going to see that difference and a difference in some of these teams. They're going to run into some of these teams that are just here. To be honest with you, Portland Trailblazers coach, I can't think of his name at the top of my head right now.
Terry Scott.
Terry Scott, yep. I was just talking to one of my boys about this, and it's almost time for him to go. I mean, you have entirely too many pieces over there to be at the bottom of the West or fighting for a spot in the West. I mean, dude, you have two twin towers over there with Nurkic and Whiteside. You have to find a way to deal with that. You have Melo. Okay, you missed Trevor Ariza. You got CJ McCollum. Gary Trent had a hell of a game today. You got Dame. You have a lot of pieces. This is one of the teams that, like I said, remember what I said earlier about Dame. Now, Dame came out firing. But you remember earlier, I was like, well, depending on what Dame does, what to expect. Some of these teams you expect better from. And their excuse is going to be, we took off about 5 months and all this. Well, somebody has to win the NBA championship this year. So taking 5 months off, every team has done, and they all have to deal with it.
Very true. And, we talked this before we got on the show about the Lakers. Yeah, I mean, they came out and made a big win against, the Clippers. LeBron made it the last shot to win the game. Played an excellent defense to close out on George and Kawhi Leonard. And then you get to the Raptors game and, the defensive heavy, kind of a little sloppy, in a sense, some parts of the game. But, you mentioned Danny Green. He had multiple open looks yesterday against the Raptors, and he could hit nothing. Not a zilch. Kuzma played pretty decent. Raiders, Caruso, they played all right. But I mentioned this to you off air. If I tweeted this out from our Fast Break account. If you're not following our Fast Break account, please do. If guys like Waiters, Smith, Kuzma, Green, Morris, if those guys ain't hitting, what else they bring to the table? Can they get you some stops? Can they do some other things that kind of turn momentum for your team around?
Correct.
Why you boxing out and putting a body on Kyle Lowry and he getting 14 boards on y'all? Man, he had big man numbers, 30 and 14.
Somebody told me that he was inspired. He plays so good, he look like he's inspired.
Yeah, he got big man numbers, and then, I watch him Raiders. He does all right sometimes, and shout out to Mike Pack coming to the chat. How you doing tonight, sir? But he does nice things, and then he, does that hero ball stuff that kind of drives me nuts. Basketball. And then, Kuzma, they try you watched the game yesterday. They trying to hype it up like, Kuzma improves his defense. He's just focused on one side of the ball when he first came to the league. But I was like, where y'all see that improvement at?
Yeah, he ain't jumped that much yet.
No.
That's why they was considering trading. He hasn't made that jump yet.
Right. Y'all, what Kyle Kuzma y'all been watching?
Maybe the one that thinks he's better than Brandon Ingram. Maybe that one.
Man, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that.
So I say that because, the thing with Kyle Kuzma is we know what he is. we know that his game is revolved around shooting a hell of a lot more than defense. Now he's on the court at different times, but he's surrounded around defensive players. Like half this roster is more than half of this roster has players. Their strengths are the defense. Rondo, Danny Green, Dwight Howard, all these guys in the career where they are right now in their career. Like we know that Dwight Howard back in the day was a rim wrecker, but now we know he's more defensive than offense. Same thing with Danny Green. Danny Green can shoot the three, but what is he really known for? Avery Bradley. So when you put these players on the court with Kyle Kuzma, obviously it's going to make him look a little bit better. But at the same time, you're not looking at Kuzma like, well, damn, okay, I need Kuzma to get about 4 or 5 steals, and I need him to cover the best player on the court in order for him to have an impact on this game. No, Kuzma I need him to shoot the ball well to make an impact on this game. If he doesn't do that, now we have a problem with Blake.
Yep. And, in the chat, Mark is bringing up, the Clippers hasn't have Lou Williams and also Montrezl Harrell. So you got those two guys to consider as well going forward in these matchups. Down the line, whenever Montrezl Harrell decides to come to the bubble, that'd be real interesting to see how all the pieces, come about, for the Clippers as well. And, we'll touch on this last thing here, especially for like today's games. The Magic winning, I think, if they win at least a couple more games, I think they'd be good to hold their playoff position. Celtics coming back, big day by Jason Tatum, beating the Blazers. Very good bounce back for them. The Bucks, Rockets, we'll see it later on here tonight. Mavericks and the Suns. The Suns, they won the other night against the Wizards. They ain't saying much, but if they come out and play pretty well against the Mavericks, we'll see how things come
shake out. Yeah.
Playing for the playing time. So, a lot of good action this weekend. It's good to see these guys back. I mentioned, I think we mentioned last week, like, it's good that these guys didn't come really out of shape.
Yeah.
Like, none of that, Sean Kemp, lockout, coming out 50 pounds bigger and playing in Cleveland. Not that look. But everybody's in shape on that stuff and stay conditioned, and that's very great and disciplined. And, I know you as a former track athlete, you can appreciate that.
Yeah, because all it takes is a couple of days off. Next thing you know, it's hard to get back. And and now, I know especially for team sports, it's a lot harder, or it makes a bigger impact because, in track or any other individual sport, the person that you're hurting the most when you don't stay in shape is yourself. But if you can't do that, if you do the same exact thing in a team sport, you're hurting everybody on the team. You're hurting the players, your teammates, and the coaches, front office, all these expectations. You're hurting them. I think I seen earlier that right now with Aaron Baines, he's having a hard time, getting back into good shape, doing the things that he needs to get there. And when he do, obviously they're going to have him playing. But that's a tough thing because what happens is it adjusts their rotation. How the Suns move. Now, they got a lot of guys. They got Aiden, they got Sarge, they got Cameron Johnson, a couple other these guys. But, as we talked about before, it's great that most are in great shape because, that whole quota, one sport, apple spoils a bunch. One player kind of not being in a great condition kind of can affect how the team operates.
I definitely agree with that. And before we go to our next subject, who you got tonight, Rockets or Bucks, D-Lock?
We talked about this before. Well, with the hot game Russ and Harden had was epic, but I can't go against the Bucks, man. The Rockets are falling into this. This is the perfect team, perfect matchup for Giannis. I don't see Brook Lopez having a high game, as I told you. Anytime I watch the Bucks play, he's always just standing at the 3-point line, hoping the ball comes back to him where he can shoot another three. So I don't see him having a huge game, but I do see them. I actually see them blowing out the Rockets, and not just because they're much better than the Rockets, but I just think that game was huge that they had against the Mavericks. So, and obviously, I think we talked about the fact that Russ took so many shots to get to his points. I don't see him having those many opportunities with the Bucks.
I'm going to Bucks as well. I think, well, they don't have Eric Bledsoe back. He has tested positive for coronavirus. I just have to look that up. I thought he played. I thought I saw him playing, but he's out right now. So, but I still think, the size thing kind of it'll get Houston at the end, but it's going to be a very nice track meet to see. But I got the Bucks by 10. So I do got that. And in the midst of this, restarting stuff, D-Lock, we're going to our next subject. One team in particular who's invited that has a very promising player in the league is Zion Williamson. He hasn't getting much playing time here in this bubble. Last night, he played 14 minutes against the Clippers, and of course that was a blowout. Then Thursday against the Jazz, he had 15 minutes. And you sort of wonder, I know the Pelicans also had like double-digit leads against the Jazz against that game and kind of blew it at the end. But what's the thought process of the Pelicans right now? Are they trying to make the playoffs, or do you? What are they doing? Thought process with Zion and whatnot. What's your thoughts on that?
With the oh my goodness, boy, with the Pelicans. Remember, like I told you, Alvin Gentry is. I think he's in the world of trouble, and I say that because you have Lonzo Ball, B.I., Derek Favors, Jackson Hayes, Zion, J.J. Redick, Josh Hart, all these great, these young players that can make an impact for a long time. But this team just does not look like they're all in. So now that they have Zion here, it doesn't seem like they're treating him like they're taking care of him the right way. I remember it was a picture that was put up maybe about a month or two ago of him working out. And, he had his mask on, but I guess a vein was popping out of his shoulder. And people were feeling as if he was, in better shape. But if you see these past couple games, we don't see that. Now they have him on this minute restriction. Not only do they have him on a minutes restriction, they're putting him in the game, at the wrong time of the games. So I don't know what they're doing. I'm still confused. So what are they doing? Because the last person I remember that had an issue, I guess weight wise, hearing about was Shaq and Charles Barkley. Now Shaq kind of got away with it a little bit later, obviously being 7 feet, and he was able to manage it a little bit better than Charles Barkley would have if he didn't get to that weight. Because I remember, Charles Barkley was one of those people that he gained weight very fast, and If he doesn't correct that, if Charles doesn't correct that, we're looking at a different career for him. You're looking at the similar thing with Zion. If you look at Zion, Zion looks like he's still growing. Like it's clear you see that he's still growing. And I don't know if dude, it's been 5 months, dude. Like that's enough time to see some kind of difference with this player. So I don't know, man. Like, I mean, I understand if he's young, but why not get started with everything right now? Because if all it takes is one injury, one bad, landing on something, and now it's going to push you back even more with this guy or this kid, shall I say. So this team needs to, this is their investment. This is somebody that's important. They need to put the work in and build around him to make sure that because it's not about right now. This is about 10, 15, 20 years from now. They're comparing this dude to LeBron James. Like, they're saying he's one of the most hyped, players coming into the league. Like, you got to make sure you take care of this guy because you don't want 2 years to go down or 2 or 3 years to go down and he's on the shelf. It's kind of similar to Grant Hill. You remember Grant Hill was supposed to be the next Jordan? Mm-hmm. Grant Hill couldn't stay healthy at some point. And when that happened, what could have been or what should have been, you don't want that with Zion. So this team has to figure it out, man. This front office has to figure it out. Because right now, all it takes is one bad step or, one bad minute or whatever. You're putting him on this minutes restriction and he's not there. Your job is to get him there. And they have to do that.
In my eyes, I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Last time the Pelicans played before the restart, the last regular season game back in March, back on March the 8th, they beat the Timberwolves 120-107. Zion had 32 minutes, went 9 for 15, 23 points, and 7 rebounds. Now, we've been off. The NBA's been off about close to like 4 months, basically, right, D-Lock? And
yeah,
in my eyes, it's like, okay, you're trying to ease him back with the knee and stuff like that, and then you kind of, I won't say blessing in disguise, but you got like a long layoff in which, in actual terms, you get 4 months off anyway in regular NBA offseason. So, and your player didn't take no time off. So, what's the issue of playing him these minimum minutes? And you try to make the playoffs. The Grizzlies are losing games. The Blazers lost today to the Celtics. I was like, are y'all trying to win? Are y'all trying to make the playoffs? Or are y'all scared of letting him play? Because we've seen these players, these new age type of players, like they can sour on you pretty quickly. And I don't know, I'm not saying Zion this type of person, but if he feels Alvin Gentry is holding him back and stuff, then who's gonna be showing the door the next day? Alvin Gentry.
Exactly. That's why I said he's almost in some kind of trouble with this because you have to watch out in the fact that they are already saying that he's the next LeBron or making that comparison. He's gonna have some kind of power, on this organization. So you gotta watch out with this.
And I brought up the Pelicans playing the Grizzlies tomorrow. And Marcus bringing up in the chat that the media creates the souring. Yeah, but you can't just hold this kid back. You gotta let this kid loose. He has had 4 months off. You know, I mean, I know you ain't winning championship this year, but see what you got, see what you can do, and just go from there. And you got a big game against the Grizzlies. If you're not playing him more than 25 minutes, then what's the point of having Zion there?
Yeah.
If you play,
right.
If you play 15 minutes again tomorrow, 5:30 on ESPN against the Grizzlies, then what's the point of having him there? You might as well just send him back home and just wait till whenever next season starts. Because you really ain't trying to win.
This is what I'm saying. Like, it's just, we don't, like, this team is I mean, I can't really get too bothered about it because this is their first year together, right? So they're gonna gel at some point. But you would like to see progression at some point. You want to see this team improve. And one of the players that, a lot of people were saying that, well, this break 5 months has been a blessing in disguise for is LeBron. He's older. Hey, you know what? He need a break like this so he can kind of, get back right, get settled, and have that fresh air so he comes back. A player that really helped out as a blessing in disguise is Zion.
Mm-hmm.
Or it should have been. Like, this is a person that, 5 months.
Yep.
Me, I'll tell you right now, okay, and I'll say this. Next year's Olympics, right? Next year, Olympics starts in July.
Yeah.
I won't start training for that until about August. My first track meet would be in January. So you got August, September, November, December. You have about 4 to 5 months to be in some kind of shape to be competitive, is what I'm saying. Not at the best, but be competitive. They had 5 months at some point where they could have had this guy in a scenario where there should not be any conditioning issues. The weight thing should have been, okay, we're going to look at you a week or two from now and see where your weight is after eating and see what we can make adjustments to. Those are the simple things that can be done. Now, it's not just on the front office as well now. It does play in the athlete. So that drives is the reason why LeBron is so considered one of the greatest ever, because how he take care of his body. A player has to do that as well. But also, from the owner standpoint or the front office standpoint, if you invest all your picks, you're already having expectations of this guy or this kid, you need to make sure that he's doing everything that he needs to be ready when the time comes around. Because even if they don't make a huge run in the playoffs this year, he's only 19.
Mm-hmm.
So as you said, it's not a sprint. And dude, to be honest, even though what you said was a great quote for that. But even sprinters, we have to have we have to be ready. We have a lot of practice and condition that we have to do. Even in the sprint. In the sprint, there's phases in the sprint. But a marathon, as you said, is a lot more, okay, I have to make sure I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's a lot longer than a sprint. Therefore, this is how his career is. His career is more so, like you said, more of a marathon than a sprint. And they need to make sure, okay, every year we're improving with this. Even if you break it down, before you want to break it down in years, you started off by months. You've had 5 months. There's no way this dude should be looking the same way he did 5 months ago. There's no, I'm at literally, I don't know if you just seen it, but did you see that Jonathan Isaac just got hurt?
Yep.
So, now even though this happens, this is something that you can't control, did he not just get hurt less than 12 months ago?
Yeah.
So, it comes to that, to this, and to me, I'm like, okay, first of all, you wish him a speedy recovery. You hope things get back. You want everything to go back to how it's supposed to be. He can be back. But why the hell would you bring this man back? He just injured his knee within 12 months ago. He's not the same player exactly right now. You just put him on a minutes restriction because you want to push him in. Why would you bring him back? So I always look at it like this, and I guess for me, I look at it like this more so because I've experience the professional side of the athlete. You have to make sure as an athlete that you're doing what you're supposed to, but also the front office and the people that are above you or whoever you work for, they have to help you as well, do their part as well. Because one decision, can hurt a lot. I'll tell you a quick example. 2015 for me, I was hurt all season. I was running for Nike at the time. And what Nike said was, well, even though you've been hurt all season, you've been rough, we still want you to be at world champs or world champ trials, at world champ trials, which is the USA trial that you go to try to lift the world champ team. So I've been telling you, I've been hurt, I've been doing my rehab, been trying all I can, but this is the same year, I'm not ready yet. And they said, well, we still want you there. Dude, I get there. The first day of practice, I hurt my hamstring again.
Ooh.
So, and I use that example to say, it was more so a business, for them. But hey, you got to be there to do this. It's the same thing with these front offices. You have this athlete. You see what kind of shape he's in. Why are you not making a bigger impact? You have to stop thinking so much with the money side and say, well, we want him to play and we want this and we want that. If he is that important to the franchise, if Zion is that important, you got to be on this guy's hip about everything that he's doing. Now, I know, they'll say, well, hey, you're the athlete. You got to make sure you take care of yourself. But also, if you invest into this guy, make sure that he's ready when the time is right. So you don't have to put him on a minutes restriction. You bring him back, talk about conditioning after 5 months off of playing basketball. Something is not right.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just like, 5 months. I know there's like, I know there's like some uncertainty there that, you're going to come back and play or not. Or if they decide like to go with this playoffs only, then you won't come back. But, it's like y'all scared to play the dude, he gets hurt in the preseason. And he missed, a good couple months, and now you get him back. You ease him in. He played very well, and now, you had to do layoff again. And then now, for some odd reason, y'all not playing this guy more than 15 minutes a game. I know he left the bubble and came back, but still, I know pretty sure in that time when he's out the bubble, he got on a bike or something, or got some workouts in. I would assume so. So, I don't know, D-Log. It's just like, we'll see how they go about with him next season. It's kind
going to see. Go ahead.
It's just weird that you got a chance to make the playoffs, but you ain't using you can argue your best player, maybe besides Drew Holiday, or Brandon Ingram, but, and you're not using him to your advantage.
Yeah. What is your plans? What are you doing? I think I seen the interview that David Griffin did, and he was talking about we're going to ease him in. But, dude, the problem I have with this is it's like this front office or this coaches and everything. They don't know what they're doing. Like, why are you easing him in it's August? Like, what here is something is missing. Something is not right. You've had all these months to make sure that he either is ready or he's not ready. I watched the man play against Utah. He was in the seat more than on the court. Now, I know he's the number one pick and you got to sell tickets and all this other stuff. But if you know that, why after 5 months he's in the same situation he was in that he was before?
I don't know. That's a thing. I wish I was a media member and asked David Griffin or Alvin Gentry that's like what y'all doing? Because Gentry, part of his biggest break right here, having a young talent like this, and David Griffith having a young team like this and kind of molded in his eyes for years to come. So both of these guys are in prime positions to do great things with this team for years to come. It's just like you kind of sound the block real slow.
But, yeah, I mean, and even if you do that, it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, I wish I was a reporter, and I ain't gonna lie, that's what has me have so much passion about sports and why I love it, because these are questions that I would love to ask. I would love to ask these kind of questions. Now, some people it's gonna bother because you're kind of touching a touchy area to where they don't want to. Well, that's none of your business kind of type stuff. But those are questions that need to be asked because you have a lot of fans that want to know that. I'm not a Pelican fan, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Pelican fans that are saying, "Damn, well, what the hell's going on with Zion? Like, this is our number one pick. He's only on the court 12, 15 minutes a game. Like, what's the deal? I need answers." So reporters asking these questions are important. They're very important.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how things shake out tomorrow. Because, like I said, it's a key game for them. Very key game for them. But I want to get your thoughts real quick on Jonathan Isaac. I know today he went out with a terrible knee injury, and I kind of, I rewatching it again. Yeah, he twisted it very bad. But we've seen in the past couple of days with the anthem and stuff like that. And with the NBA, they really don't show the anthem. And for some that don't know, David Stern implemented this rule years ago when Chris Jackson, I forgot his new name, but when Chris Jackson is playing for the Nuggets, he turned his back on the flag during the anthem and stuff like that. And David Stern's like, "Oh, no, we ain't doing that." And implementing a rule that, these guys got to stand for the anthem. And you really see no noise about that from the NBA. And
yeah.
And now, what's going on in the world right now, everybody's taking a knee, wearing Black Lives Matter shirt, kind of, I guess on the same page in a sense. But with Jonathan Isaac, and he's not, and I'll make this clear, he's not the only one that did not take a knee, anything like that. He's not the only one. Greg Popovich, Becky Hammond, Miles Leonard, maybe some others out there. They were the only ones that weren't taking the knee, but a lot was made when he did it. So I want to get your thoughts on that, D-Lock. I know you're a big Magic fan. What are your thoughts on that situation?
I can't fault him for the reason for what he said. This is a time where you have to watch. Remember, we talked about this before. You have to watch what you say, how you say it with this scenario, with everything that's going on. The fact that he brought in his religious reasons, it puts people in a tough scenario to where, how do you respond to that? Like, because I've had these different conversations about Black Lives Matters, about things that's going on, and I ain't gonna lie, for me, the biggest thing for me, just to talk about that, is that I think faith is important. And what I mean by that is action is huge. Action is always going to be huge. But we also got to realize what's going on right now. Dividing is not the answer. That's just what I believe. I don't think that dividing is the answer. So we should all come together and figure out, okay, well, this is what's going on. This is, this has been continuously happening. Like, we need to find the answer to this. We need to act and find the answer. And, when you do something that stands out compared to what everybody else is already saying, hey, we're all going to kneel, you stand out, they don't want to. Your reasoning for that, they're gonna overlook because they feel like, well, hell, you didn't. We told you what we're doing, and the reason we're kneeling because of the scenario of what's going on in the country. Do you not agree, or do you agree or do you disagree? Even though you say that you do, but your actions to them may see something different. And I think the fact that Jonathan Isaac did stand, it probably touched a few. We've seen the same thing with James Harden. Remember, James Harden had the mask and people were going crazy to him wearing the mask. So for me, I can understand where he's coming from because he's bringing the religious part in. But I think that this is something that needs to be broken down before this happens. You don't wait until the national anthem is being played and you're the only person standing up. They're going to say, well, why the hell are you standing up? It doesn't look right. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if you explain, well, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is the reason why, it may be a little bit more understanding. So the fact that it was kind of did to where in a sneaky, way, because clearly, we've been talking about, the thing that's been going on for months now. Hell, just about as long as we've been talking about coronavirus. I'm pretty sure he knew when the anthem was going to be played, what he was going to do. He knew that months ago. So I think at that time it was better for it to be explained rather than waiting until now. Okay, well, this is here. Well, now I'm going to do this, like the opposite of what everybody else is doing. So I don't know, man. It that's a tough scenario, but I just feel like it could have been voiced a little bit earlier. That's just how I really feel about it. You have to be willing to express things than to wait, because it's the same thing with the scenario with Drew Brees or I don't even know if you heard what Mike Dick said. Like, dude, like after I heard what he said, I don't even want to have any words with this guy. So, or even listen to him say anything else. So, you have to communicate what you're doing, because if you don't, people are going to look at you're going to look at your actions and then judge by that. Because if you don't tell me that you're not kneeling and then you don't kneel, I feel like you're not supporting me because I don't know why you're standing. That's how a lot of people will feel. So has to communicate. I think that's the big thing with that.
Well, a couple things. Taylor Rooks, who works for Bleacher Report, and she has two questions to Jonathan, I guess, after the game. She asked him, you didn't kneel during the anthem, but you also didn't wear a Black Lives shirt. Do you believe Black Lives Matter? And, he said in his statement, he does believe Black Lives Matter and all that, but he said there's different ways to go about doing that, which is fine. I mean, I'll say this, if he wants to stand and stuff like that, that's his own prerogative. Whatever. I ain't gonna, hold his feet over the ceiling. It's like, why you didn't stand? I mean, why you didn't kneel with us? I ain't gonna do all that. It's whatever. But, she did a follow-up question saying, can you explain what, because he brought, faith and stuff like that. And then, she brought up the second question, can you explain what religion has to do with kneeling for the anthem to protest racism and brutality? And then that's where he brought up the faith and all that stuff. Me and you are good in our faith. We love the Lord and stuff like that. A lot of people, like a person, Martin Luther King, was big in his faith and loves the Lord and all that. But he also fought what was right, for all of us, Like, yeah, I love Jesus. I love the Lord. But what these folks are doing to us is wrong. Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned, like, if he came out, early and said something about this, and I think you've been cool with it. Similar to like what LeBron said about, the approved messages on the back of the jerseys. I don't know what he would put on there, but you know, he wished he could have done something else. And LeBron saying his reason why he wasn't going to do the messages on the back of the jersey, he put out his statements like, "Hey, I didn't like these approved messages. I feel like going a different route," but the league was against that. And you know, LeBron put his statement there, and early on, and that's why he didn't choose the messages and stuff like that, which I'm pretty sure he probably would have went with. But if you take a stance like this, I think there's got to be something to to follow up with. If you don't believe taking a stance stuff like that, what are you doing behind the scenes? Are you helping pushing legislation and within the state and federal level to kind of get laws passed to get things changed? Are you doing that?
Right.
Are you doing other things, trying to get people to vote and stuff like that, among other things, to inspire that change?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't care
what are you doing to make an impact.
What are you doing to make an impact? Yeah, exactly. Like, it's cool. It's fine that you didn't kneel and stand like that. But you've seen your other contemporaries around the league trying to make change and stuff like that, voicing their opinion, trying to get justice for Breonna Taylor in Louisville. It's fine to go on your faith and stuff like that. But, I mean, we've seen in history that only gets so far in the society,
right,
to a degree. It's like, you got to step up to the plate, big dog, if you're going to take this stance. Okay, you don't believe Black Lives Matter, wearing a t-shirt ain't going to help. Cool. I almost same boat as you. I mean, so far, there's only so much you can do doing a hashtag to a point.
Right.
But what are you going to do? You got a name. You have a face. You have resources. What are you going to do to make that change?
Yeah, that's the big thing. I think that's what makes it a little bit more questionable because, like I said, the way that it's kind of similar to how they're waiting for Jerry Jones to say something about this.
Yeah.
They're waiting. Players are kept saying, "Oh, I'm waiting to see what Jerry Jones say." Like, well, dude, you do realize not saying anything is saying a lot. So, when these different things come up and you do something that is out of the ordinary or not what everybody else is playing, because I'm pretty sure the fact that a lot of these athletes are kneeling, especially with the Magic, this conversation came up, in the locker room in different places. This has been the most talked about thing in the country, in the world. So when this comes up, it's just the fact that you have to, say, yeah, I do feel like this is a something that has to be fixed. But my thing is, when it comes to this too, is the fact that when somebody asks for why or why not, that kind of I don't really vibe with too much, is when they bring in the reason why, like later. So after you do something, it's because of religion. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's like backing somebody in the corner to where they can't, they have to decide, they have a hard decision to make. And you're right, faith is important. We all, believe, we all, have our respective religions that we believe in, and action has to be made. But again, like you said, with this action, or with you having your faith and believing in what you do, you have to have an action that comes with it. Now, it may not be kneeling, but you can't not kneel, then not have a Black Lives Matter shirt, then not talk about it, then not protest about it. Like, you can't completely do nothing and just say, well, I just have faith. Like, I had, a huge conversation with one of my closest friends about this because it just was like, I had a scenario where I felt like, okay, well, protesting is big. But as far as tearing down buildings, I don't think we should do that. And I kept saying, well, faith is very huge. And he kept saying, well, you know what? You need to have action with it. You have to do something because if you don't, there would not be results. And I said, yeah, you know what? You're right. I understand that. But it's just the fact that, she's asking him these questions. And it's like you're saying, well, no. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. So basically, are you doing anything to support, what's going on right now besides have faith? And if you say no, then you're not helping anything. So like I said, this is a scenario where it was clear too. Like, I'm not sure if you seen, I'm pretty sure you did, but dude, I'm looking at everybody, like everybody kneeling except him. And somebody tried to tell me, because he has a knee brace on, and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a little bit more to that, especially with everything that's going on right now. Like, ain't nobody want to hear anything about no knee brace. So, like I said, it's a right now how things are going. It's a conversation that is tough to have. I've said to multiple friends, and I'll say this to anybody listening, that be careful of what you're saying. Understand what you believe in, but do understand that the biggest thing that we want and a lot of people want is to be heard and want you to listen and we want results. You want to find a way to fix things because, it's times are hard right now. So you have to make sure that it is important to a lot of people and they realize what's going on. And like I said, be careful what you're saying or what you're doing, because even though, Jonathan Isaac's mind might be in the right place with a lot of things, it doesn't look like that to a lot of people.
I agree with that. On that is like, okay, I'm cool in your stance, but if you saying t-shirts and kneeling is, if the t-shirts and stuff is not a way going about getting justice, hey, that's cool. That's cool. I'm cool with that. But to hang your hat on one thing is like, it's cool, but it's like, I look at past iterations. They were big in their faith, but they were still mixing it up, trying to get things changed for, us here in 2020. So, I'll say,
that's very true.
Prayers up to Jonathan Isaac. I know he hurt his knee again, so hopefully he'll get better. And you mentioned, what these guys say, everything's under the microscope.
Yep.
We've seen that with Drew Brees. We've seen that with Jonathan Isaac. Myers Leonard had a conversation with Chris Hayes. Why he didn't, kneel. And then, like you mentioned, Jerry Jones is like a microscope. Boy, you can sell pay-per-view tickets and what he's gonna say. So, I don't know. We'll see how things shake out throughout the week. I mean, I think the league won really highlight that and stuff like that. And, I think, after the first couple games, I think they got the message across, and I think games resumed. And I think, nobody's really tripping off of it except for this Oklahoma State senator, but that'll fall on deaf ears. But anyways, before we get out here, ladies and gentlemen, I do bring up this news. New York Liberty guard Sabrina, I always butcher her last name. Asino, number one overall pick for the Liberty. She hurt her ankle, against the Dream, and she's a bad girl, D-Lock.
Yeah,
like she bad. And I know the Liberty. I know the Liberty wasn't going anywhere today. I mean, not today, but this season. But
Yeah.
Losing her, that blows. Because she had,
That hurts.
I want to say that Friday game against the Dream, trying to look how much she had. She had 10 points, but the previous game before that, I think Thursday, Wednesday against the Wings, she had like 33 points and 7 points and 7 assists. So, her down, and I think, Nurse down for a little bit is just like, I hope she comes back and plays
Key pieces.
Key pieces, yeah. And hopefully she comes back and play sometime this season. But, if it's kind of like the Zion situation, yeah, okay, we know she's hurt now. How do we bring her back? Do we risk it and kind of save her for next season, or do we, if she's good to go, we'll ease her in? So that's how I feel. Her and Zion kind of like the same boat.
Same boat, yeah. I mean, it's a scenario where that excitement, the player that you have and what they can do, and it sucks because coaches will always look at it as what's better for the team and not necessarily the player. So it could hurt, in the future. But if you are going to bring these players back and have them play, like you said, at least slowly bring them in and make sure you're investing into bringing them in like healthy. Like if they're not ready, do not force like at all.
Yeah, I agree. And, the Liberty is sitting at 0-4 now, along with the Kinetic Suns 0-4. Larry is mentioning, in the chat that, we can get a chance to see what she can do in her last March Madness. And I totally agree. I always felt bad for these college athletes not getting a chance to play, compete in the conference tournaments and NCAA tournaments. It sucked that they didn't get that chance to fill out the complete the season. But the Liberty, Connecticut, Sun 0-4. Dallas is 2-2. Phoenix is 2-2, which I'm kind of surprised right now. Atlanta's 2-2. The big surprise for me so far in the WNBA is Chicago.
Yeah.
They 3-1. Washington 3-1 without Elena Dong. That's great. And then Seattle, Minnesota are 3-4. The Sparks at 5 at 2-2. Las Vegas, they're 2-2 as well. So, I think that I'm trying to pull up the Aces box score. Liz Cambridge is still not back with the Aces, so you're still missing her. Granted, they still beat Dallas, but that's another piece right there. And then, Larry mentioned in the chat, the Sky are doing very well, which, I didn't expect too much from them this year. But, in this 20-game season, D-Log is like anybody can come out and grab anybody can jump out and kind of take this thing and go for it all compared to like the season from May to September. What you thought on that?
Yeah, I mean the fact that it's a lot shorter now is kind of like you get one team to jump out and get hot. If they in the right spot, they'll take everything, and that's the good thing about the season being short right now or shorter. So I have to watch more WNBA games so I get more knowledgeable about some of these different teams. But I know that with a shorter season, you catch a team that's on fire. It goes back to what we were talking about, with the LeBron and the Zion scenario, is that you give them this time off, but then they catch a hot streak where they're good. it can hold that, flame only for so long. And if you hold it enough, one of these WNBA teams hold it long enough to, just for this season, might be looking at some new champs.
So that's the thing to keep our eyes on, ladies and gentlemen. Can one of these surprise teams like the Sky Mystics, without laying it on, can they make a run for the title, in which, the more shinier teams like the Sparks, Mercury, and then the Aces, can they keep those teams at bay and all that? But, ladies and gentlemen, I know we ran a little late, but hey, when y'all talking in the chat and we're talking with y'all, it's a great show. So thank y'all for joining us in tonight.
We definitely appreciate that. It's glad that sports are back.
Yes, sir.
Oh, glad, man.
So thank you for joining us tonight. D-Lock, how can the people find you on social media?
You guys definitely can find me at Black-813. Black, the word dash, D-A-S-H, 813. I have a Twitter and Instagram. You can find me there. And also check me out on YouTube. You can look up my name, Dentarius Lock. You'll see how to spell it once you go on Twitter or Instagram. Let them know where they can find you at.
You can find me on Twitter at Spawn4288. You can also find me at The Crooks Process on Facebook and Instagram. I have recently dropped some new episodes on there, so please do check them out as well. And I'm kind of on the fence of doing, I do an annual college football top 25 D-Lock on there, but I'm on the fence of doing it because I have no clue if college football is going to be up and rolling.
Yeah, right. I hope that we do get it. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little pissed the fact that FSU and UF is not gonna play this year. Like, that is like.
Well, hold on. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I know they went to conference, but they couldn't squeeze that game in though.
Nah. Apparently, I believe South Carolina front office or coaches or something didn't want. They were the one team in the SEC that basically didn't want to play. They wanted to play all conference schedule. So thanks to them, our Gators got to play Bama this year. I'm pretty sure, with LSU and Georgia.
Oh shit. Ooh. Damn.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm a little warm about that.
So please do follow us there. Also, please, if you're not already following us on Fast Break on Twitter, we'll give y'all all the updates and follow us along all basketball related news. So please do follow us on there. But until next week, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in with us. This has been Fast Break, presented by IE Sports Radio. Your home, take it back. Your direct feed for all sports. So thank y'all. Have a good night.